Hey everybody, and welcome to the channel. My name is Hack. In this video, you're checking out 20 quick beginner tips for starting ESO in 2020. Now, the Elder Scrolls Online is a huge game, but I've compiled my top 20 beginner tips to get you into the game and playing as quickly as possible, so you can know what you're doing and get off to a great start. If you're new to the game, you should also consider subscribing to the channel. We regularly publish guides for ESO. In fact, there's a whole playlist right here which you should check out after this video. Now that that's out of the way, 20 rapid fire tips for starting ESO in 2020. Let's get started. Tip number 1 is after you complete the initial tutorial for ESO, you'll get access to 3 skill points. Now, each class in the game also has 3 unique skill lines. So the best thing to do right off the bat is to place 1 skill point into each of those 3 class skill lines. That will let you unlock the first active skill in each. Not only will this give you 3 basic abilities to use right away, but it'll also ensure that you're leveling each skill line equally, which is also important. Tip number 2 is to fast travel to one of the 3 starter zones right away. These islands have some basic quests and basic enemies that will help you get a good feel for the game without getting overwhelmed or confused. Each island represents a different faction, but it doesn't matter which island you choose. So just find a way shrine, move your map to one of those 3 starter locations, fast travel there, and start exploring. Tip number 3 is to pick up a primary weapon skill. ESO has plenty of weapon skills, from bows to swords to staffs. All weapon skills are unlocked by equipping a weapon and then gaining some experience with that weapon equipped. So decide which weapon skill you want to focus on first and then unlock the first skill in that skill line. Now don't worry, you can always level up multiple weapon skills at once, which we'll talk about later. You should notice a big increase in power though once your character combines both their unique class skills with a weapon skill line. Tip number 4 is to claim your level up rewards. Every time you level up in ESO, you get free stuff for your character, including armor, weapons, and consumable items, all of which can make your character stronger. Right after you claim those rewards, don't forget to increase your attribute points as well to further improve your character's stats. Going right along with that is tip number 5, using consumable items like food, potions, and scrolls. So food or drink items are extremely important as these give you a considerable boost to your overall stats. Potions will give you a momentary refill of stats. Now you'll also come across scrolls in-game that offer things like increased experience gain, which can make leveling a lot faster and easier. All of these consumables combined can make a big difference in your game experience, so I recommend using them as much as possible. Tip number 6 is to upgrade your skills. Now, as you gain experience in ESO, each active skill line on your character will improve from level 1 to level 50. Every 10 skill levels or so will unlock a new ability in that skill line, which can improve your character's overall power, utility, or survivability. So once your previous ability has maxed out in skill, which happens at rank 4, I definitely recommend replacing that with a new ability in the skill line. This way you're constantly improving and progressing your skill line, leveling up each skill one at a time. You also have the option to morph the previous skill once it's maxed out as well, but I recommend holding out on that until you unlock your backup skill bar at level 15, which we'll talk about later on in this video. Tip number 7 is to unlock your armor skills. There are 3 armor skills in the game that correspond to 3 different armor types: light, medium, or heavy. Now, while each armor type is useful, some are more useful than others depending on your character. Characters that use magic, for example, will want light armor, while characters that use melee weapons or bows want to focus more on medium armor, and heavy armor is typically reserved for tanking. To unlock one of the 3 armor skills in the game, all you need to do is equip 3 pieces of that armor that have that same weight. So 3 pieces of light, medium, or heavy. Doing so will add that skill line to your list of skills. Tip number 8 is to explore and complete quests. So there is a massive world to explore in this game, and exploring your surroundings as well as completing NPC quests early on is very rewarding. Not only do you learn more about the factions and the Elder Scrolls world, but you also are typically rewarded with some basic items and some very good experience, which can make your journey from level 1 to 50 all that much more enjoyable. Tip number 9 is to find as many Skyshards as possible. In ESO, every 3 Skyshards will convert into 1 skill point, and the more skill points you have, the more options you get to customize your character, which is so important. Now, there are hints given in-game in the achievement menu if you need help finding the multiple Skyshards hidden in each zone, or of course there are maps online or PC add-ons that make it even easier. Tip number 10 is unlocking your passive skills. Each skill line in the game has passive skills, which once you unlock them, are always active on your character. Passives in this game are what truly makes your character powerful, because they can do things like increase your healing, increase your armor, or increase your damage done without you having to press a button. So look for the passive abilities that you think will make the most impact on your character's progression and unlock those first. Tip number 11 is to start the main story quest. This quest can be found in your main faction city and has you talking to this strange hooded figure and a benefactor. Now, I'm not going to spoil the quest here, but it's well worth your time. It has a great cast of characters, a great storyline, and the game just isn't the same without it. You can do it at any level and at any pace you want, so definitely check it out. So tip number 12 is to join the 3 guilds in the game. That is the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, and the Undaunted Guild. Each guild has its own story quests, as well as some pretty good skills and passives, so you want to unlock them early on. And unlocking them is extremely easy. Just go to their respective recruiters in your main faction town and tell them you want to join. It's that simple. Tip number 13 is to add more weapon skills to your skill bar. Now, it seems kind of strange at first, but in ESO you can equip weapon skills from another weapon skill line that you're not currently holding. For example, I can hold a bow, but also equip two-handed or dual-wield abilities on my skill bar. Why would you do this? Well, it's important because you can level up any active skill in the game just by equipping it. You don't need to use it. Always make sure you're leveling up more than one weapon skill at a time. Tip number 14 is to choose a Mundus stone. In ESO, Mundus stones give you increased stats in a specific area like resistances, damage, or healing. Now, when you're first starting out, it won't really matter much which Mundus stone you choose. Just grab one as soon as possible for the free bonus stats. Tip number 15 is to complete delves. Delves in ESO are basically mini dungeons that can be easily completed in just a few minutes. They have just a few enemies and a pretty easy boss at the end, which you can usually defeat by yourself. The reason why you want to find and complete delves is because each has a Skyshard, and you also get bonus experience for defeating the final boss. Tip number 16 is to upgrade your riding skills. Now, there are many mounts in the game, including a free horse you can get at level 10, but you can also upgrade your character's own riding abilities, including riding speed, stamina, and carrying capacity. There is a small cost to this, as well as a 20-hour timer per upgrade, so it's important to start upgrading early and be consistent if you want to eventually ride faster, ride longer, or have extra carry capacity unlocked. Tip number 17 is to read every bookshelf. Now, almost every bookshelf in the game has a book you can actually interact with and read. While some of these contain interesting stories or lore or even just poems, you may also be given a free skill increase in a specific skill line just by opening that book. This includes weapon skills, armor skills, class skill lines, and even crafting. Note here that you don't have to read the whole book or flip through every page to earn that skill increase, though you certainly can. All you have to do is interact with the bookshelf, and if a book is tied to a skill increase, you should see it pop up immediately. Tip number 18 is to update your general, combat, and buff settings. These are found in the options menu. Under combat and ability bar, I have this set to always show. Attribute bars, same thing, always show. Resource numbers, I prefer both number and percent being active.
combat tips, automatic ultimate number is on. I leave all my combat text on. This is, of course, on console, so it can be different if you're on PC. Now, buffs are very important. You want these to always show. That includes buffs, self-buffs. You can include buffs from others as well as long effects and permanent effects. This way you know exactly what's on your character at all times. Now on console, my UI looks similar to this. So I see all my active buffs, I see my health bars, and I see my abilities. Gameplay is very important as well. Here you can set your colors for friendly buffs as well as enemy effects. For me, I just have my friendly buffs as green and then my enemy effects a bright purple. You can test how these different colors look in the interface. Prevent attacking innocents is super important. This keeps you from attacking villagers and guards and things like that. As well as quick cast ground abilities, turn these on. Auto loot on is also a preference, as well as area loot. These just will help you loot faster. Tip number 19 is to choose your backup weapon. In the Elder Scrolls Online, you can actually equip 2 weapons once you reach level 15, so you will have a main hand and a backup. Each weapon, both main and backup, lets you equip 5 skills and 1 ultimate. Now, generally speaking, your main hand or your front bar weapon is what you will be using most of the time and where you should have the majority of your damaging abilities. That means your backup weapon will be something you use a little less frequently with skills that have longer durations. I like to equip a bow with the skill volley, as well as any armor buffs or heals that I have as the backup weapon. For a Magicka-based character, you can equip a flame or lightning staff with the skill Wall of Elements on your backup, or you can use a restoration staff if you need access to more healing abilities. Tip number 20 is to join a player guild. Now, in the year 2019, ESO added a guild finder, which makes it very easy to find the types of guilds that you're looking for and to eventually apply and to join. All you need to do is drop into your social menu, select guilds, and then go to the guild finder. From there, there's actually many categories of guilds that you can browse, including trading, PvE groups, role-playing, social, PvP, questing, crafting. Just pick the type of guild you're looking for. You can apply to more than one. Browse through the listings and select Apply to Guild. Depending on the guild size or how active the guild is, you should hear back pretty quickly. Now, of course, the major advantages to joining guilds is you now have people that you can group with. You can ask questions in the guild chat if you need help with anything. One of the best advantages, in my opinion, is once you're in a guild, you can actually travel to any player who's online. Remember, as a new player, you only have access to the first few starting zones and DLC areas. But with a guild, you can literally jump to any zone in the game at any time. It's a huge advantage when you're first starting out. Hey everybody, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you found it informative. If you did, make sure you crush that like button for me. If you're new to the game and you have any questions at all, you can drop those in the comments section. Myself or any number of experienced players can answer those for you. Also, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We do build videos, guides, and discussions here on YouTube every week. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day and a great time in ESO, and I will see you around in the next video.